to do. Hello, world.
Hello.
We just started our live. We're getting ready to record our first episode. So welcome.
Let's do it.
Enjoy. All right, here we go.
All right, we're here. Welcome.
Hello. Oh my goodness.
The first episode of the Authentic Souls podcast.
So exciting. It's official.
Wow.
It's been 8 months in the works.
Yeah. And now we're here.
Mm-hmm. We made a
Feels
decision.
surreal.
Yeah, last fall that we were going to start transitioning to sharing more of our lives online, and it's happening. It's officially here.
We're ready to show up and share our lives with you guys a little bit more and
Be
see
more
how it
authentic,
goes.
be more transparent, be more vulnerable.
All of the things, which are so scary stepping into that role, but
yeah, this episode's a little clunky. That's why we're still
learning.
we're ironing out the kinks as we go. But
we had talked about though that's kind of the whole point, is to keep it raw. Like, we're gonna be editing this at a very minimal way.
This.
Yeah. So
we have Jeff who will be doing the audio, but
other than that, it's all us.
Yeah.
If we make a mistake,
mm-hmm.
it's live.
You'll hear it.
It's so great though. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and it's just like a lot of work to sit there and have to re-listen to yourself, and you just get sick of yourself after creating so much content all the time. So we were like, we're just gonna do it live, straight shoot it
out there. Yeah.
And here we go.
People get to really know us for
mm-hmm.
who we actually are.
You
not
can hang out
some
with us.
Online persona. So
exactly.
Yeah.
The real us, Savannah and Danielle.
And with that being said,
mm-hmm.
let's give a little background. If anyone doesn't know who we are, wants to know a little bit more.
Well, my name is Savannah Nicholson. I feel like I'm in 5th grade. My name is Savannah Nicholson. I'm from Sacramento, California. I'm 20.
And what's your favorite color?
I'm 27 years old, and currently, I think my favorite color is pink right now. It changes all the time, but I've been really vibing with pink. Anyway, we'll just stick with that. Danielle, you want to do yours?
All right, so I'm Danielle Churchill. I'm the person in group settings when it's my turn to introduce myself. I am absolutely terrified. Like,
we have structure though.
Yeah, so
Danielle, where are you from?
I'm from Los Osos, California.
Did we already say that? I don't know. And then what's your favorite color?
That's my favorite color. It also changes. I'm on a real green hype right now because we're remodeling a house.
That
true. Came with green floors, and so I've decided to embrace it and just make everything green. But
the heart chakra.
Yeah. Yes. We could all use more of that in our lives.
Yes. But, love.
So we met how many years ago?
Yeah, so if you don't know us and our story, we met in 2017 in October.
On a whim.
Yeah, so we're both artists. I am a jewelry designer and make jewelry for a living, and have sold jewelry at a handful of pop-ups and events, and Danielle happened to wander into a pop-up that I was hosting, and she's also an artist, so we immediately bonded over that.
Well, my friend that I was with at the time had to like shove us together, like, you guys should be friends, because I'm too shy to be like, hey.
Yeah. And then
so she literally kind of pushed us together, and we're like, oh.
And then it was fate, and then I realized we followed each other on Instagram, and then I geeked out because I already knew who she was, and so then I wanted to be her friend. And then we hung out one time after that and decided
by the end
to
of the
get
hangout.
married.
Yeah. By the end of the hangout, we're like, do you want to sign legal documents together? Yes, I do.
We're not married, by the way. Anyone who knows us, we are not married. This is a platonic friendship. Business
But we did sign a lease together.
Yeah.
For a studio.
Yeah.
That was our little creative hub. Just about until like 3 months ago.
Yeah. So that was like, I think, November 2017 is when we found the space, and December is when we signed the lease. And then it was 3 magical wild years of running a creative studio and workshop space, an event space. And then, a couple months ago, we have just, this whole year has made everyone transition into a more, I think, authentic version of themselves, and really like check their environments and if it's aligning for them and if they need to make some changes in their lives. And we were at a place to expand and grow our partnership and mission and we no longer needed the studio space. So we have, I can't even say it. It's so hard. It's so weird. It's not ours anymore. But yeah.
It's so good though. It's just, we live our life based on intuition, which we'll get into more later. But it was a big thing for both of us. We just intuitively knew that it was time for a new chapter in things. And even though it was heartbreaking and just, yeah, it was just such a part of us. So it was sad to see it go, but ultimately we both knew that this new chapter is just going to open up so much more possibility for us.
It was one of the realest ego deaths I've ever gone through, because I've gone through like other shocks in my life when I thought I was going to do one thing with my life and then I switched, but it was more like I was unhappy in it. This was something that like I really wanted to work and I really wanted to keep going and growing with it, but with just the way everything was laying out in our lives, it made so much sense for us to move to Santa Cruz, and just expanded. So there was just so much more room to do things like this, like other projects that we really felt were more fulfilling to us. The studio, it just it felt like we kind of like graduated out of it. It was the place that really allowed us to grow our relationship and grow our confidence in who we are, and really
learn who we wanted to be too.
Figure out who we wanted to be, what we wanted to do. And then it was time to move on, and it was an amazing transition because two other amazing women needed a space. They were looking for their own creative studio, so we were able to hand off the torch, and they were able to carry on its legacy, which is so cool. So it's like in its next iteration, it looks so good. They have invested so much time and resources into making it look so spectacular. So if you're looking for a studio space in San Luis Obispo to rent, they do daily rentals. We'll probably rent it out at some point to go record, or
that would be fun.
Do some creative projects. It's so fun that it's still alive. It's so reassuring that we didn't have to like paint the walls and
say goodbye to it completely, because that really would have been heartbreaking.
It's like it's not dead, but it's still alive.
It's just it's not ours anymore, and that's okay. I mean, we learned so much there, and it allowed us to build our now business, because we kind of built off of there and really got clear about the things that we wanted and the projects that we thought were gonna be ultimately what we ended up doing, and they weren't. And it was just like a container
for us to, I mean, none of it had a game plan, and none of our projects, like, I've forever used the analogy of like it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks, and some of it does and some of it doesn't, and you just keep rolling with it. So this is the next iteration of us podcasting,
sharing ourselves instead of our business,
in an online space. And I think one of the things that we really learned over the past 3 years is like, I mean, we were so young. Like we started that project at the studio. I was 23. You were 20.
I just turned 25.
So we were so teeny tiny, and we're the epitome of like the hashtag boss babes. Like that was us.
Hustle. Wake up and hustle.
Hustle. Wake up and grind. Rise and grind. So that was us.
And now we're like the complete opposite of that.
Except not, because I at the same time like always knew, and that's the reason why I started doing jewelry full time, and then we got the studios, because like I had already made shifts in my life to choose to not going to school, to pursue creative entrepreneurship rather than the traditional university route, and doing all of that really took a lot of listening to my gut. But then I think once we started jumping on like the business bandwagon of like wanting to grow our empire and like all that, you kind of realize like how intuitive is this, and how
we've talked about, it's a very masculine energy behind that. There's no balance in that, and so I think we've kind of come back to our balance ultimately.
We're still coming back to our balance.
A constant battle. We're never there, but I feel like for me, I've kind of jumped to the other end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that's kind of where I'm coming back to, is having both,
Mm-hmm.
the flow and the structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite the experience. That's
And then
for sure.
we moved in together.
Yeah, so, yeah. Well, and then this entire pandemic happened.
Yeah, that happened.
And we wrote a course.
Uh-huh.
And that course is called the Intuition Course. And like we were basically insinuating and describing just now, is like we live a life based on our intuition and following our intuition and following what feels correct to us. So as we started noticing that the studio like wasn't in alignment, we knew that we needed to start looking for the next iteration of what we were going to become, or like say goodbye to whatever we had built.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew, again, it's just intuition. It's a gut feeling. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's moving in together.
Yeah.
And we had talked about that before. Like, wouldn't that be nice and super convenient if we lived together, to be able to do all of our things?
Well, and like you said, the studio was a container for us and our energy and our creative projects. And so it was still important for us to have a space for that. It just didn't really make sense that it was like more of an office, because it just felt like it kept things so separate. And ultimately we wanted to live more holistic lives where everything was...
It was exhausting too.
It was.
Because like,
Yeah.
my boyfriend and I live part-time in Nevada City, which is in Northern California. And then Danielle's boyfriend and house that we're in now, that we live in, is in Santa Cruz. And then we had a studio space was in San Luis Obispo. So it was actual insanity trying to manage that during quarantine. And Danielle was a saint, and Megan, who was our employee at the time, was a saint. And yeah, we got it figured out, but I was just quarantined in the mountains and couldn't help at all, and was like, hope you guys are doing okay down there. But yeah, so that's really when we started realizing like we need to transition, because this isn't sustainable, because I'm 6 hours away, not using the studio at all. Danielle and I we had like 2 or 3 trips last year where we would work for like 3 to 4 days at a time,
at
and
an
just
Airbnb, and
burn out, because we would work so hard for...
we would work the most insane days, and then it would just be total burnout at the end.
Anxiety attacks,
and then that would and that would last our content for like a week, and then it's like, all right, now we need to do that all over again. And it didn't feel
flowy, it didn't feel fun, it didn't feel authentic, and we didn't know what the frick to do, because we were like, we're the authentic souls, what's next? But also that's a part of like trusting and having faith in your future and having faith in the universe. So we couldn't fully fall into the victimhood of like, oh no, I don't know what's going on. It's like, we knew what's going on. Like something, there's being space created for something else to come in. Yeah. And it's still coming in, but
there were certain things that came in clear enough. And I think for me it was, studio is done, and if you guys are going to continue on this journey, you need to be together, because it's not sustainable. Yeah. So I think, and luckily, both of us had those same gut feelings. So it aligned for both of us. It wasn't just one of us that was, pushing to make it happen. We both felt like that was the next step, even though at the time we didn't really know what that was going to look like. And like you said, we still really don't. We're still just kind of following, I like to say, like little breadcrumbs of intuition of like, all right, this is the next thing we need to do, and then we'll see what happens from there. So we still don't know, but we knew the podcast.
We knew the podcast was next.
Yeah.
And I would say, touching on what you just were saying, like trusting that the other person wanted to like make the next step as much as you did, because I was last year, I'm sure with everyone can relate, like one of the lowest places I've ever been mentally, just with the state of the world. And I was living in the mountains, and it gets dark at like 3:30 at night, and it was just really intense. So It wasn't do or die, but it kind of felt like it at the time. Like, I need this so much, and I hope she needs this so much, because I don't know what I'm gonna do if we don't make this move, and if we don't make this next chapter and like take this next step. So yeah, I had faith and I trusted, and there wasn't any part of me that like thought you wouldn't, but the fear always like seeps in.
Well, and we're always so honest with each other, you know, having the relationship, the business relationship we've had, and which has turned into a friendship over the last few years. Like, we have always been 100% honest with each other, and we've always been really clear about like not attaching to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So having those hard conversations, like, is this still aligning for both of us? Does this still feel good for both of us? And regularly checking in. I mean, we've been doing that since the beginning. I remember even really before we knew each other, having those conversations with the studio, like, hey, if the lease is here and you're not ready, that's okay, you know, even if I am, maybe, like. So we've always, like, we've built our communication to the point where we can have these hard talks and know that the other person is gonna be honest.
And I think the 3 years of what we've built, like, there's no one in the world that I communicate clearer with than Danielle, like, in the world. But it's taken so much practice, and for some reason the universe brought us two together, and there was never any point of like, I mean, obviously, like, you've been in those relationships where it's not hard and it's super effortless, and that's what this one is. But in any relationship, you're gonna hit a point of conflict, whether it's like big or small at some point, or just like a point of where you need to compromise, or the other person doesn't understand fully, so you have to communicate more clearly so they fully understand where you're coming from, not taking it personally. And yeah, for some reason, pairing the two of our energies together just really allowed for, like, there was never a point of true confrontation or true, like, all I can say is taking things personally. I don't know why. Like you said, we never attached to one another, and we fully respect each other's freedom that the other person requires, which is kind of a lot. So anyway, so I was saying that piece because I think we needed those 3 years of, like, basically training. We didn't know it was training, but
or just like building, I think.
Yeah.
Like building like a foundation with just our relationship and what we wanted to build from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like living together, we couldn't have just jumped into living together like 2 years in. We needed to, like, really build it. Like you said, build a foundation, get really clear on what we're doing. And yeah, what are we doing?
I don't know.
And that's where you guys come in. We're all in this together, as High School Musical once said.
Sharing the process of not knowing. One thing I've realized is my job has becoming comfortable and uncomfortable. And so I think I'm looking at it as a superpower that I can share with others of, like, probably the last 3 years of my life have been like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but again, following those little breadcrumbs of, like, but this is one thing I do know, so I'm gonna do it. And so I feel like we've learned to develop a lot of trust in ourselves and the universe and all of that.
Yeah, and we wrote a course on the intuition. So when quarantine hit, when the pandemic hit, like, everyone's brain scrambled and, like, was trying to make sense of reality. And for us, one of the clearest things that made sense was to write a course and to get really clear on, again, like, first of all, the act of becoming an artist and finding the confidence in, like, not even just being an artist, being like an artist who sells their product. And we both have businesses, or started our businesses on Instagram, and have a solid customer base, and that just takes a lot of confidence getting to that place of living life and feeling like I should be paid for what I make, and I'm worthy of that, and this is good enough. And getting past all of those mind blocks, we really, like, worked through those together. And then from there, I think just the natural state and energy of the self-exploration and the self-reflection, and having, like, these daily constant conversations of how we show up to the world. And since we are basically building our careers out of thin air, which is so it's so much, not even just physical work, it's so much internal work, because you are your biggest advocate and your biggest cheerleader, and like you can't second guess yourself. Or I mean, like, even recording this podcast, we wanted to push it off, but we were like, nope, you got to show up and you got to do it. So
you got to do the hard stuff.
yeah. So we've really been able to hold space for one another over the past couple of years, and getting really clear on our intuition and this thing that is internally guiding us. And the studio was like and our relationship was the biggest example that either of us like probably still have of just listening to this thing of like, I need to do this and I don't know why. I need to do this and I don't know why. Another one for me was, again, not going to school. Those are like the very clear ones. Another one is moving in here. I need to do this and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Even though I do know why. Like, it's all for your higher purpose and for your soul mission
and growth. Yeah.
Yeah. Evolution, your highest evolvement. And so, yeah. So that's basically,
and being able to share that and teach that, or not even, I don't even think it's about teaching anymore.
Like, live
we
by,
just
by
share
example.
Yeah, just saying like, this is how we do things and we really feel like it works. So if you want to watch it, or, you know, if you do, if you gain anything, then that would be,
if you can relate to those moments when you have this like huge pull in your gut or in your, from your heart or wherever, and you know you need to do something.
We don't honor that enough in our society. And I think that's why we really want to get this out into the world, is because not a lot of people are saying this. A lot of people are saying, think with your head, not with your heart. You know, I feel like that's, more of what we're taught. And so I think we're trying to like open people up to more than that. Yeah.
Trusting yourself, like learning to trust yourself and not needing to seek validation and for information outside of yourself. Like you have the answers. There's so much, like, how many times before you make a huge decision or a small decision, but big decisions are the ones that are forgiven for, like, you can ask a bazillion people, you're allowed to. But I've kind of gotten to this place now when someone asks if they should do something, I'm just kind of like, it's just so clear to me that that's not my place to tell you what to be doing. Like, this is your decision. This is not mine. And then it becomes so clear when you see people who try and convince others of how they should live their life and what they should be doing. It's like, why is that person so self-righteous? And why do they think that they have it all figured out?
They have all the answers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're all on such a unique path. And I think we should honor that more.
Yeah. And even just like, I mean, I've learned that over the past couple of years with us and our experience with the studio and wanting to grow this business and getting this inflated ego of like who I thought I was and like, this is me forever and this is us and doesn't everyone want to live this life? And then I'm like, wait, bitch, do you even want to live this life? And I was like, nah, I'm out. I'm Gucci. But I mean, it's fantastic and to each their own, but there's other things in my life that I want to prioritize. And I like you said, finding that balance again is hugely important, and how much our society promotes the hustle mentality and like sacrifice all these things and you can do them later. But also, like, for what? No offense. I'm all for,
you're
like,
a millionaire,
success.
but you have no friends and no hobbies and nothing outside of your work. Like, how is that fulfilling? And I think that's something we realized working together. It's like, what's the point of this success if you don't have anything else to show for it that, like, in the end really matters? So
or even like losing the studio, losing that, like, that was all I identified with so many
that was
other
a
things,
huge part of our identity.
but that was like that was our job, that was our career, that's everything that we were and what we had built. So you strip that away from you. Like, I went through, for sure, and I'm still going through an identity crisis.
We don't really know who the fuck we are right now, but
hi. Do you know who I am? If so, please email me at. I'm just kidding. No, but see, that's the beauty of it, is like, you can kind of just relax in the limbo of knowing that your intuition is guiding you, and like, we're still together. We're living in a house with our boyfriends. Cool. Yeah. That's just a whole experience on its own. And
I know at some point we'll get into the communal living thing.
but like, I just know that it's like the next, life isn't supposed to be easy breezy all the time. So of course we have this like next level of like, okay, now you get to figure out this level of communication. You figured it out with you two. Now throw in your partners. Ooh, fun.
Let's see how that's gonna go.
Yeah, 4 of you. So fun. No, it is so fun. Like there's so many perks to living communally, and just the loneliness aspect of this past year and how isolated we all were, and how isolation is good in everything in moderation, but how when you overdo it, how dangerous the headspace can become, and the habits that we pick up just might not be the most healthy. And so Danielle and I have both been self-aware of like being mindful of like how much more healthy this is just as a human to be like living with other people consciously and coexisting, and just having other people to show up for, I think, is really healthy.
Yeah, and it's been a real shock to me because I'm very introverted. Well, at times,
only child. She's an only child.
So I've really never had to share my space too much. I have in little doses, but this is another level. But like you said, after this past year, just realizing like I was really comfortable being alone all the time, but at the same time, like I wasn't necessarily fulfilled. Like it was like, it's easy for me to be alone, so it's like, it's not a big deal. But then I realized like how much more just like full I feel when I'm around people that I love, and like we're doing dinners together, and it feels really good. And I was surprised. I thought for sure it would be way more of a shock to me than it really was. But ultimately I'm like, no, this is good. Like humans need each other. Like
interaction.
It's so important. So
and like even if we're having like a shitty moment, like it doesn't like there's no shame or judgment like for removing yourself and going and being by yourself. But even after those moments are done, you can come out and there again is no shame or judgment. You can be like, yeah, I just had a shitty 3 hours where I was like just processing a lot and I don't know what was happening, and or I'm exhausted and I need to take a 3-hour nap today. Like you do you, girl, like whatever. But it just feels so good to be supported, knowing that like you're not doing it alone, because I think that's where a lot of my fear and anxiety stemmed from this past year, is just overthinking and getting worked up on like future scenarios of like, can I do all of this alone? Like in so many instances. And I think we all, as you get older, that's like everything becomes so daunting. And again, we're not taught to trust ourselves and our intuitions and what we truly want to do and how we truly want to live and show up to the world. And I think for me, my body was just alerting me through my anxiety that like you need to be around people. And I can also isolate myself and be very introverted, but it's only because I feel I don't want to say there's only certain people I open up to, but you know, I have to be able to like vibe with the person to open up and like want to hang with them and live. And a part of that is like living intentionally. Like I am gonna only really want to hang out and be around other people who want to live intentionally. And so I can like feel it in my body. Like it's like craving it. It's like, okay, like you need to go do this. And I also think that's the reason why our intuitions were like pinging us to move in together. Because it's just healthy. It's just healthy for us too. Like it's good for our business. Business, projects, creativity, all that. But also just on a human level, it's like good for our psyche.
And we got that long before it was really a reality. Like we've been feeling it for a while, and it's fun to see these moments of like, we know this is what we need to do even when it doesn't make sense, and to follow that through, and then to see it come to fruition and just everything almost seamlessly fall into place. And then it really like proves that this is where we're meant to be. And
you're able to like trust so much more because
continue to hold the faith for other things,
because you had the example of like, okay, well, I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen here, but I trusted, I showed up, I held faith, and I did the things my intuition told me to do. And that's the thing, it's not just the big things. It's literally like show up in every single moment in the tiniest ways that your intuition is telling you to, because all of those lead to the big moments.
Helps you practice and get in tune with it so that, the trust is there. and you have to jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I stepped over that little rock and that worked out, so I can do the cliff next.
And it's all a spiderweb effect of like,
yeah,
you just don't, it's just so, not complicated, it's so simple, but it's also so complicated. But it just doesn't need to be overthought. It's a clear feeling that you get within your body. And yeah, like today, I mean, both of us had fear coming up around recording and not wanting to show up. And I could have had like I went and nannied for the neighbor's house earlier today, and I could have had the excuse of being tired, and Danielle was working on her computer, so she could have been too tired. But we both knew, like, ping, 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 you like can't keep it quiet. It's like screaming at you.
Mm-hmm. It's like, today is the day.
Yeah. And so the more you listen to those moments, the more they just keep showing up, and the louder they become.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you want to learn more about the intuition, check out our intuition course. Oh, we just marked it down.
We did. $33.
It's only $33 right now, so
there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I felt like I was about to go on a rant, and it was just basically going to be the intuition course. So if you want to, I'm sure with the podcast we'll just go
talk
into
more
all
about,
the things. But yeah, also if you would like a structured 4-chapter breakdown of the intuition, we wrote a 35-page handbook and recorded 4 videos. That's up to 2 hours of content. And it kept us sane all of 2020, basically, having this project.
It gave us purpose, a huge amount of purpose.
Yeah.
To write it. And I honestly, it's so funny because we wrote it, and now I feel like, I mean, we've always lived this way, but it's another level of implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Because we like have all our thoughts and beliefs written down in a structured way, and now it's like you catch yourself even more like, I'm
not living by what I wrote about.
Yeah, like you can't, like you said, you can't get into victim mode. Like there's all these things because it's like, no, but you know the way to handle this.
Bitch, you wrote it.
You wrote it. You wrote a fucking course.
Yeah. You're teaching, like, yeah.
So I feel like we're still like doing our practice. I mean, as
and the implementation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like you said, it's a practice, and it's a constant practice, and it's a forever practice. It's a muscle, just like everything, any other muscle in your body. You stop working it out, and it's just going to atrophy and whatever. So you just got to keep working on your intuition muscle.
Yeah.
Keep following those
reminder
things.
For us to keep going in that direction. And
like you said, like the smaller jumps, the smaller, like, it's like jumping into the ocean off off cliffs. It's like you jump off the little one and you're like, oh, I made it. Okay, cool. And we'll go up a little higher. This is a little more scary, but the adrenaline rush is a little bit more exciting.
Yeah. And
I can do it. I trust myself. I believe in myself. I know I can stick the landing. Watch me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you prove it to yourself, and you're like, holy shit, I did that. Wow. Yeah. What else can I do?
Yeah.
So it's also like this weird addiction. But also, isn't it just human evolution? I don't know. It would be unhealthy to not do it at the same time, I think. Like, you have to see what else is ahead of you. See what else is exciting. Because life just becomes kind of stale and stagnant if you don't.
Yeah, it's so easy to get into your comfort zone and just stay there. I know that's how I was.
We were just talking about that. Yeah.
We were talking about that. Like, I remember having this moment a couple of years ago where I wasn't unhappy. Like, I would say overall I was pretty happy with my life, but I felt so
Danielle was raised in San Luis Obispo and has never left until her 20th year of life. And I mean, she's left, obviously, but she never lived anywhere else.
Yeah. And so I was so comfortable for so long.
It's such a beautiful place. If you haven't been to Slow, it's so beautiful. Anyway, that's all.
No, you're right.
She's from paradise.
I never left, and it was like I was in this little bubble, and I knew all the same people, and everything was great, and it was comfortable. But just realizing that sometimes you get too comfortable, and it's hard to challenge yourself because you're so like cozy. It's like, ooh, I don't want to do anything that's gonna make me feel uncomfortable. But ultimately, those are the moments that make you grow. So sometimes, if you don't do it, sometimes the universe will throw you into the shit and make you figure it out.
Is there a little plant or transplant analogy.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I thought of myself as like a little plant.
What kind? What's your plant?
What kind of plant was I? I don't know. I was like picturing like something that would be in like a front yard. I'll say like we have a bunch of dandelions. I know those are like weeds.
All right.
We have a bunch of dandelions
flowers
in our front yard right now.
flowers.
Yeah, they're super cute. They're super happy. So I was a little dandelion, and I was like happy, you know. But then all of a sudden, like someone went by and just like ripped me out of the ground. My little roots were hanging.
Just raw.
But then I was put in new soil and I was really uncomfortable because it wasn't what I was used to.
Different climate,
but it was all better. And so
a little bigger of a pot.
Yeah, a little bit more space, a little bit more sun, all the things. And it takes a while in that uncomfortableness, but then all of a sudden you're twice as tall as you used to be.
You're rooting down again. You're getting grounded, and you have the strength to keep growing. That is us. That is you. If you're listening right now, you're a plant.
You're a little dandelion.
You're gonna just keep sprouting, keep growing. Reach for the stars. Reach for the sun. Isn't the sun great? I love the sun. This is where my mind is gone. It's just the most simple things in life. I'm like, how can we find joy in the most simple things?
Agreed. That's like our practice right now. Like I always say, I'm living for a living right now because I always say.
Classic Danielle. We'll get that on a shirt one day. Living for a living.
Well, because like we said, we attach so much to what we used to do because it was like, we thought it was so cool and we loved telling people.
What's your job?
This is what I do.
What do you do?
I'm a creative entrepreneur or whatever you attach yourself to, and just coming to the realization that like, no, I just want to fucking like live. And like you said, appreciate the small things. And that's what I tell people. Like, why do we have to tell people what we do for a living for them to know who we are? Who cares? Who the fuck cares? What we do for money. I live for a living.
You don't actually tell people that. They would roll their eyes at you if you said that. I live for a living. No, what do you actually say?
What do I actually say?
I'm
a freelancer.
She's a freelancer.
It keeps it broad. I don't have to go. It's too confusing. I do too many things.
Oh man, living for a living. That's everyone's goal. That's like that's kind of our purpose and our mission is to get everyone tuned up and aligned to their highest self. Get their chakras aligned. Get their intuition cranking. And then everyone can have the confidence and power to start living their best lives. Yeah. And we just want to hold space for you. We just want to
see that for everyone.
Be your friend.
Yeah.
And we want you to feel like you're connected to us and that you can do it. And oh my God, I'm going to cry.
And we're going to share all the uncomfortable and all the raw and all the vulnerable, because everyone has those moments. And we're nowhere near perfect.
No.
So
and we know
we're just here to show you that no one has it figured out.
Fuck no. And we're not trying to pretend to.
Yeah.
But also we know how low-key fucked the system is. I'm that kind of bitch, sorry. But like, you know, just how hard it is to function as a fully like healthy, thriving human being in the world we live in. And how to do that, you really have to be strategic with how you spend your time and your energy. And that includes like just everything in life. So we're kind of like guinea pigs, and not really. It's really not like we're guinea pigs, but kind of. But also self-aware enough to know that we are in this place of privilege. Yeah. To like be able to live this way. Yeah. So a part of that is sharing our experience and talking about the real stuff and the real shit going down in the world. And how, honestly, like a lot of the world isn't happy right now. And like how we were talking about, you know, the mental health stuff that I went through. I know you went through stuff this past year. And that's just like scratching the surface of what everyone else is going through. I saw some like meme, or I don't even know what to call those like written things on Instagram that you see, those little posts. It's like a it's like a GIF. It's like a meme. I don't know what
It's a meme GIF.
It's, those like mantra
You're
things.
showing your age.
I know. Fuck. Anyway.
What things?
It said, like, basically if you're having a rough day or if you're going through something, like, know any other person you're going through or any other person you encounter with in your life or that day has gone through, like, just as much, if not worse. Like, no one's just gliding through this year or just, you know, smooth sailing. I'm sure, like, we've all had beautiful moments, but it's been, I think, a wake-up call for everyone of just really looking at your priorities and where you find, like, true alignment in your life and how you can make those shifts and
how you can show up in a purposeful and intentional way.
Yeah, the purpose is huge. Like, we're not just out here trying to chase happiness and trying to get everyone to be like, you know, la la la, toxic positivity mindset of just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even, you know what I'm talking about. Just the wish it to believe it and it'll happen kind of stuff. Like, a huge part of that is showing up and acting, and you may have to act on uncomfortable things and situations to get there. And for us, one of those things is showing up and speaking and talking really vulnerably and authentically on topics that maybe some people shy away from or find too uncomfortable, which I can totally understand, and that's super valid, but there's too much stuff going on in the world to not be spoken about.
We'd rather be real.
Yeah, we'd rather be real and raw and talk about it all. So get ready, folks. We're gonna talk.
We're talking a big game.
Oh gosh.
We're bringing it at ya.
It'll be good.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Live in action. What should we talk about next week?
Oh god.
Danielle
I don't
getting
even know.
attacked by a dog? We'll save that for the next episode. If you want to hear that story, stay tuned. We'll keep it light. We'll keep it fluffy.
Yeah.
But we'll also keep it
about
real,
the stories.
raw.
Yeah.
You'll hear about the trauma because we all have trauma. Is it being human crazy? Okay. Is that enough for today?
I feel good.
I feel good.
Everyone feels like they know us a little bit better.
Welcome, you guys. It's happening. This is so exciting.
Number one and done.
One and done. We did it.
We did it.
First take. We'll record a new episode next week.
Yeah. We'll try and bring more at ya.
We'll see you
soon.
soon.
We have a lot to say.
I hope you have a great week. And we love ya.
Talk soon.
We did it. Okay, bye.
Bye.
We did it! We have to turn this off now.